So we are on part 2 of our study guide. We're looking at REI.C.5-7, which is systems of equations. Systems of equations is basically when you have two lines and the solution is where they cross, where they intersect. So that is going to be our point. So our solution should look like a point. We should get an X, we should get a Y. That is what our solution should look like for systems of equations. Now, we have two methods here. We have substitution, we have elimination. If you're using substitution, you should see something like x equals or y equals. And that's how you know to use that. If it's elimination, it's probably gonna look more like this, where they look kind of similar in structure. Here, we're using substitution. Now, remember, for our point, the x and y should just be a number. So if you see like y equals negative 6x, don't put negative 6x for your y, you're just gonna plug it into this. But for right now, thankfully, the y equals is just a number, so that's already half our answer already. So what we're going to do is we're gonna take our y, which is negative 6 in this case, and we're gonna substitute or plug it in. We're gonna plug it into the y for our second equation to solve for x. So we're gonna do 3x minus 6, and because it's next to each other, when you have a number next to a variable like this, this is multiplication, we're gonna have minus 6 times, put in parentheses so it's easier for you, negative 6 equals 30. At this point, we're just gonna simplify, so negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36, because remember, negative times negative is a positive. We're gonna have 3x plus 36 equals 30. We're gonna subtract 36 from both sides because we're getting x by itself. And we're left with 3x equals 30 minus 36 is negative 6. Okay, let's come over here, just finish it out. 3x equals negative 6. I can divide both sides by 3. So those cancel. The reason that works is because 3 divided by 3 is just 1, and 1x is just x. X equals negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. That's our x, and that's the rest of our answer. And this is our solution for that first system of equation problem. Okay. For this one, we're doing elimination because they look similar in structure. So I'm gonna add both together. This is how we eliminate. And we wanna make sure that we can, when we add these together, that something eliminates, something gets rid of, something disappears, meaning they have to add up to be 0. So I already see it here, 4x plus negative 4x does equal 0, so that means those eliminate. Our goal here is to end up with one variable we have to solve for, because we can't solve for both at the same time. We have 2y plus negative 9y, which is negative 7y, equals 0 plus negative 28 is just negative 28. At this point, we're just dividing by negative 7. Those cancel, we're left with y equals, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so that's a positive 4. However, we're not done. Remember, our solution is going to be a point, so our y is going to be 4, and we need to know our x. If we want to find our x, this is when we use this, and we're basically turning it into a substitution method problem, and we're gonna plug it into one of our equations to solve for x. I'm gonna use this top one. You can use either one. That's kind of the point because they would be equal to the same thing. I'm gonna go 4x plus 2, and now our y is 4, so I'm plugging that in, equals 0. 4x plus 2 times 4 is 8, equals 0. Minus 8 on both sides, because we're canceling it out. We're trying to get that x by itself. At this point, we just divide by 4. We should be left with x equals negative 2, which will be our x in our final answer. And that is where they intersect. Okay, so we're still using elimination for this next question, but we're gonna have to fix something because when you add these two together, I don't see anything that eliminates right out the gate. If we do negative 10x plus negative 10x, that's negative 20x, that doesn't work. Negative 5y plus negative 10y, that's negative 15y, doesn't work. And I don't really care if this eliminates, I need to eliminate one of the variables. Remember, a variable is a letter. So I can manipulate one of the problems by multiplying one of the equations by some number, scaling it up, basically changing its look so I can eliminate something. If I just turn one of these into a positive 10x, that'll fix it. I could also multiply this negative 5y by a negative 2 to make it a positive 10y. Now I know in class we multiplied one of these by negative 1 to flip the sign, but let's do something a little different because you can do it multiple ways. Let's multiply this top equation by negative 2. And the reason I'm doing that again is so that way when I multiply negative 5 by negative 2, I get a positive 10, so these cancel. But let's rewrite it. So I have, and remember, you've got to do the whole thing. You've got to distribute across the whole thing, otherwise it's a completely different line. I have negative 10x times negative 2, which is positive 20x. I have negative 5y times negative 2, which is positive 10y. And then 0 times negative 2, that's just 0. And then this remains unchanged, so I'm just going to put it right underneath it. Now when I add these two together, does something eliminate the y's? 10y plus negative 10y, which by the way is the same thing as 10y minus 10y. Those eliminate. Now we just add up the rest of it. 10x plus negative 10x, it's the same thing as 20x. Excuse me if I misspoke, it should be 20x plus negative 10x. It's the same thing as 20x minus 10x, which is 10x, equals 0 plus negative 30. It's the same thing as 0 minus 30, that is negative 30. Divide both sides by 10 to get that x by itself. We should be left with negative 3. Remember, that's part of our point. If you want full credit, you need to do the whole thing. You need to find y. So I can plug in my x to find my y. I can pick either one. I'm gonna pick this one. Doesn't really matter, you can pick either one, but I'm gonna pick the one with the 0 in it, makes it a little easier. So I'm gonna replace the x with a negative 3 this time. So negative 10x times negative 3 minus 5y equals 0. I'm solving for y because I want the other half of my point. Negative 10 times negative 3 is positive 30 minus 5y equals 0. I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. So we're left with negative 5y equals 0 minus 30 is negative 30. We're getting really cramped here. So I'm going to finish it out right here because I can divide both sides by negative 5. So y equals negative 30 divided by negative 5 is a positive 6. So that is the rest of our answer. And that is your point. And you're done. Okay, last one. We have y equals. So obviously a substitution here, but it's actually not a typical substitution where I'm like taking the y and plugging it into the y, if that makes sense. Because they're equal to the same thing, because they're both equal to y, I can just set them equal to each other because they're both equal to the same thing. So I can just do 7x minus 24 equals negative 3x plus 16. Just set them equal to each other. Solve for x. So if we don't remember how to do this, I'm just going to move all my x's to one side. I'm going to go plus 3x plus 3x. Remember, I can't add the 3x to this 24. It's not like terms, that wouldn't work. 7x plus 3x is 10x minus 24 equals 16. At this point, it's a fairly simple two-step equation. I'm just adding 24 to both sides. So I'm left with 10x equals, this is not 30 by the way, it's 40. Everyone was saying 30 the other day. Remember, 6 plus 4 is 10, carry the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 40, divide by 10. And you will have a calculator by the way, but just to know. 40 divided by 10 is 4. So that's half our answer. However, you do need the rest of it. You do need your y. So let's go ahead and just plug it into one of our equations to solve for y. I'm gonna use this one. It's fine. Y equals 7 times 4 minus 24. Y equals 7 times 4 is 28. Minus 24 is 4. Don't forget PEMDAS. Please don't do 4 minus 24 and then multiply it by 7. That will be all wrong. Remember, it's parentheses, exponents. Multiplication and division is one step. Addition and subtraction is one step, going left to right. If you need to review that with me, come see me before your final, but please do PEMDAS while you're doing this. It's a simple thing to miss. So y is 4, and that is your answer, and we are done with systems of equations.